I'm in. This is like early 2000, so I'm in between, 14, 16 between this time, and alhamdulillah, I'm still, going back and forth, hearing different things and stuff, and it's like just small things is jumping up, small things, but my mind is not 100% focused on everything that that comes up. So like with some of the older brothers and stuff, like every time we would go down there, I would just attach myself to like a lot of the older brothers, and they'll always talk about sports or whatever. But once or twice you hear, Abuji, and stuff like that. And I always wonder, I was like, who's this Abuji? I'm like, who you talking about? But they wouldn't really say anything. So during coming up a little bit past 2003, this is like now I started hearing a little bit more.
In 2003. What would happen in 2003 to make you hear more instead of less about Sheikh Jilani?
Well, you start hearing about people getting possessed and
Okay, okay. People getting possessed by demons, basically.
yeah, and like they start telling you like, he said start wearing notches and
Okay.
listen to certain ayats and stuff like that. So
Now, was there something that happened in 2003 that pulled that thing off, or was this something new? Or, I
no,
mean,
no, no,
mhm.
no. This is between me becoming a little bit older and more aware because around this time, I'm working, so a lot of things that I'm paying attention to more. So
Mhm.
from 2000 up to 2002, I'm basically like 14, 15. So after I turned 16, I started working and paying attention more, and they're like, oh, you got to pay 10% and everything like that. So a lot, I'm starting to pay attention to a lot of stuff that's going on.
Because they're
So
starting to pay some money into the community now. It's
yeah,
10%. So
yeah. So in between this, it's like every 2 weeks, I'm like, do we really have to do this every 2 weeks?
okay.
Like I gotta give money up like every 2 weeks.
Mm.
I'm young and I'm like every penny. So then it's I'm thinking about, okay, 10%. I'm thinking about people getting possessed, and just like more and more stuff coming up. They want you to do security. Now it's like
But
you
wait a
say,
minute with the security part. How do you do security and you're all the way in Richmond? Did you move back to Meheran or something again?
oh no. So they got me to do security one time. We came down for a meeting one time where they had everybody come down there for a meeting, and it was like just stop me and say, "Oh, you gotta do security," and I
Just,
was like, "What?"
just like that, huh?
uh,
Without
so
without any kind of preliminary orientation or anything, huh? Just come up.
yeah,
You got to do security.
so so I did it, and it was just
Yeah.
that one time shot. I was like, "Yeah, never again. I'm not gonna do it no
Never
more."
again did you do. So you went for a meeting and they threw you in the security cabinet,
Yeah, so
security unit. Uh,
so not only that, but it was like that's when you start hearing about you know oh, the Muslims are gonna be ruling the world and making their on at the White House and everything else,
okay. So
and this.
let's talk a little bit about predictions because I used to hear right around that time, like you're saying, 2002, 2003, and this is really when he fell on my radar in the 2000s. Did you hear about him being able to cure like cancer or leukemia or whatever? Did you hear about that?
Exactly at that time, no. But
Okay, but you did hear it
um,
somewhere along the way, right? Where he could
yeah,
cure these
so
illnesses.
I did start hearing around that time about that he can that he can cure some things and everything. It was like one was gym possession, another one was it was something to do with health, but it might have been cancer or something.
Hmm.
Um, but it was a lot of stuff.
Okay, but
It might have been because it was a lot of the majority of the stuff. It didn't come from the older people. It
hmm
came from the people that was maximum. So around this time, like I said, I'm between the ages of 14 and 16. So the majority of what I've been hearing from people came from the people that was closer to my age, no more than 7, 8 years older than me. Like all
okay.
of the older people, I didn't hear, like all this stuff from until like a little bit later.
Okay, but
But
I want to ask if it's fair to say that by 2000, by the age of your 16th or your 16th, 17th birthday, you were introduced to who he was, and you were also told about uh, things that he was doing, right around this time, and you also told about your percentage, and you were involved in being on the security detail at one point. But I'm trying to understand. So at this time, you started to tune in more. You started saying like 10% all the time, and
yeah,
so you started to question that. And then from there, as you heard more and more about the demon possessions that he was somehow, involved in getting people out of. What did that seem like to you? Did it seem like it made sense as to why you're paying your 10%, or what happened after that? Like, did that settle well with you, or what
well,
happened?
it, the the 10% did because, like I said, it this goes back to my mother. She always pushed on us, about learning the dean. So during during this time, I was, heavy onto listening as I'm moving around, listening to everything about, the hadith of Rasulullah.
Sallallahu
So,
alayhi wasallam.
you know, I did learn about paying zakat and everything. So that it made sense. But what did not make sense to me was them calling it 10%.
Okay.
Or, you know, the whole membership fee didn't come up until, 2012. But then calling it 10% made sense. And what didn't make sense to me was every time I would put it on a money order. I would never give no one cash directly or do any like bank transfer and stuff like that. So they would tell me, "Oh, stop writing it on 10%. Just write someone's name. Whoever tell you to just write their name and give it to them, and they'll fill it out." And I'd be like, "Really?"
Hmm.
So that didn't make sense to me because I was like, nah, if I'm paying 10%, I want a receipt. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to make sure it goes to what it's supposed to be going for.
Hmm.
So every single time they was like, "Oh, stop writing, 10%. Don't put 10% on there." So I was like, "Nah, I don't care. I'm still writing 10% on there." So
So
and then
go
uh,
ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah,
and,
go ahead.
and then I asked, I was like, "So why we can't put zakat on there?" And it was like, well, it's hard to cash these things at the bank. They'll give us a hard time and everything. And I was like, okay, well, whatever. But that didn't stop me. I still put you know,
You
10%
put
and all
ten
that kind of
percent
stuff on it.
zakah there. So by this time, did it come across to you that he was like Mubarak Jelani and his family were spiritual guides, or what did it come across to you that they were providing?
Well,
That he's fighting demons and all this stuff.
well, I left it just like that all the way until I heard that. So okay, so just so you can understand, so I I believe I'm a little bit older than Sultan, and I'm older than Sultan. So around this time, I heard that. I started to listen as I be working and moving around a lot. I went through like the whole story of Prophet Yusuf, right?
Mm.
And then I heard that Sultan. This is when I started hearing about his family and stuff. So I heard that Sultan told him that he saw the moon, the sun, and 11 planets and all that kind of stuff bowing down, and then it was announced that Sultan was going to be the next sheikh after him, and everything else. Like seriously, and then after that, then came the other stories about they go on vacations and stuff like that. And I was like, they go on vacation. So I was like, when he get a day off, he's supposed to be like the president or something. And it was like, no, they go to the court of Rasula. And I was like, in my head, when people say stuff that's not in context or detail, I be thinking like, okay, well, do they go to like, the grave site and everything? And they were like, nah, they take a spiritual plane and everything, and they go. And I'm like,
And what year was this when you got started getting this kind of a
now
report?
this was between 2005
Okay.
to 2006.
And when you say Sultan, that's his son Sultan, right?
Yeah.
Were you in contact with him directly, or is this like
No, no, no.
right?
I never spoke to him ever.
Okay,
Like,
okay. So,
at
and you
one
never
point I
went.
wanted to.
You and your brothers did you all ever go to the retreat? And did you all?
My older brother, he went to one retreat, but me, no.
Okay.
I never wanted to go to any of those because I was like, what's the point?
Right.
Why do I want to go all the way up to New York? If once they have a retreat down this way,
Yes.
I was always on that opinion. I'm like, why should I collect all this money just to sleep outside? Because my brother, he came back one time and he told us, like you got to you got to be sleeping outside and everything else, and they get you to run around and everything. And I'm like, I'm not doing all that. Like, I'm like, nah, that's all right. So I was always against going to the retreat. I was asked multiple times, oh, you want to go to the retreat? Nope. You want to? Nope. You want to violence? Nope.
So,
that was my opinion.
So, and I just want to get back to the main point. When you're about 16 or 17, this is really when you started to hear. And 16 or 17, this was 2007, 2008?
No. It's
What, early 2002, 2003?
This is still early 2000.
Early 2000.
Yeah, 2006 to 2008. I'm in my 20s.
Okay. But when you started paying your taxes or 10% or whatever you want to call it, when you started paying that, you started being more in tune. And as you were more in tune, you were getting bits and pieces of information.
Yeah.
Right, about, and I just want to go over a few of them. That he fought jinn from Pakistan, right? He fought demons who had possessed people over here in America. He was fighting them all the way from Pakistan, right?
Yeah.
All right. And another thing was that him and his family traveled to the court of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And, what they did there, they would get secrets and powers as to what was going on down here, right?
Yeah. Now I do have to say,
Mm-hmm.
like